Small businesses are the lifeblood of our economy. They make up 99% of all firms and employ nearly half of Americans. Baby boomers own 50% of privately held companies, and many owners are reaching retirement. This means our economy is facing an unprecedented transition of business ownership. This silver tsunami is approaching, and millions of local businesses could face closure in the coming years. What can be done? Employee ownership is a powerful business structure and viable succession plan. Employees see higher incomes and increased job security, while the businesses are more profitable and contribute more money to local economies. Despite all of the benefits, employee ownership transitions are underutilized, and oftentimes employees have a hard time securing financing. That is where we come in. RENU Wealth is a crowdfunding platform that allows everyday investors the opportunity to finance employee ownership conversions. We provide market rate returns for investors, job security for employees, and an exit strategy for owners. So, how does it work? Let's take Steve for example. Steve built Otter Cafe and Bakery from the ground up and has been in Santa Cruz since 1981. He's looking forward to retirement, but having trouble finding a buyer. Steve's 15 employees would love to buy the business if they had the funds. RENU Wealth can provide the necessary capital for his employees to purchase the business. Here's how. A customer or investor can go to RENU Wealth's website and invest in Otter Cafe's campaign. Once the funding goal is reached, the employee group receives the money to buy the business. The new employee-owned company then repays the investors 1.5 to 2 times the borrowed amount over a period of 3 to 7 years. The investors are happy because the cafe will remain open and they'll earn a return. Steve is able to retire and have his legacy continue, while the employees are in control of the company and enjoy the benefits of all their hard work. RENU Wealth, investing in Main Street.
This is Joan. Joan runs a successful local market that has been in Sacramento for over 30 years. Joan is looking to retire, but she doesn't have a succession plan in place. Her family members aren't interested in carrying on her legacy, and chances are she'll have a hard time finding a buyer. If she is able to find a buyer, there's no guarantee that her 10 employees will keep their job or the business will remain in the area. There are millions of business owners just like Joan. Nationally, baby boomers own nearly 50% of all privately held companies, employing 48% of Americans and generating $5 trillion in sales. A small percentage of these will be passed on to the next generation. Some will be sold, but many will quietly close. This silver tsunami will create a massive shift in ownership that will impact the working conditions of employees, small local communities. Employee ownership is a powerful business structure that is growing in popularity. Employee-owned companies perform better, they distribute wealth more evenly, and they provide more money to local communities. Employees earn higher incomes, have greater job security, and better retirement plans. Despite all the benefits of employee ownership, they're underutilized, and one of the greatest barriers is access to capital. That is where we come in. RENU Wealth is a crowdfunding platform that allows everyday investors the opportunity to provide funding for employees to buy their business. Although there are community banks and other organizations working on this issue, RENU Wealth is the first company to combine crowdfunding with revenue-based financing and specifically supporting employee ownership. Our core value is a commitment to reducing wealth inequality in America through financing employee ownership. We believe that access to capital should not limit employees' ability to purchase their business. RENU Wealth serves 3 primary stakeholders: business owners, employee groups, and investors. For the business owner, we provide an exit strategy with tax benefits that will carry on the legacy of their business and provide stability for their employees. For the employees, this is a way to finance the acquisition without giving up equity and retain the value of the business that they helped build. For investors, we can provide market rate returns and an opportunity to give back to their local communities.
RENU Wealth is a conduit for employees to connect with investors and will be registered with the SEC as an online funding portal. This is how RENU works. After a vetting process where we ensure that a company meets our funding eligibility, they create an account and a target funding amount. Community members or investors anywhere really can contribute towards the campaign. Once the goal is met, the employees can purchase the business from the owner. The new employee owners now repay the investors 1.5 to 2 times the amount they borrowed over the course of 3 to 7 years. So the borrowers are incentivized for a faster repayment, meaning that if they pay off the debt in a shorter period of time, their total repayment amount is lower. It's also structured so that the investors see a higher annual return for shorter repayment periods. RENU Wealth generates revenue by retaining 5% of the initial funding amount from the borrowing employees and 1% of all returns back to the investors. So let's go back to Joan's business. Let's say that she's agreed to sell her company for $250,000. Her employees launch a successful campaign and are able to raise the funds to buy the store. With a 5-year repayment plan, they would owe 1.5 times the amount they borrowed, or $375,000. From the investor perspective, a $1,000 investment will see a return of $1,500 over 5 years, or about 12% a year. For facilitating this transaction, RENU Wealth retains $12,500 for when the company is funded, and another $3,700 over the course of the 5-year repayment. So we sit at the intersection of 2 huge markets: the buying and selling of existing businesses and crowdfunding. A recent study by the California Association of Business Brokers predicts that $10 trillion worth of businesses are going to change hands in the next 10 to 20 years. Crowdfunding is also growing rapidly, predicted market of $26 billion by the end of 2025. Although these numbers are significant, we will focus our launch locally in California. California has more awareness for and more support for employee ownership, and more Californians are leveraging crowdfunding than any other state.
Our target is to fund 10 businesses in our first year. With the average small business in California valued at $250,000, we will need 2,500 investors contributing $1,000 on average. As we demonstrate the effectiveness of our business model, we expect to see rapid growth in the number of businesses on our portal as more and more businesses change hands. We anticipate that we will break even in year 3 with 8,000 investors, funding over 30 businesses, and generating almost $500,000 in revenue. To meet these targets, we have 3 primary strategies for attracting customers: strategic partnerships, digital marketing, and grassroots advertising through the businesses we finance. We will form strategic partnerships with organizations that support and enable employee ownership, such as the National Center for Employee Ownership, the California Small Business Administration, and Project Equity here in the Bay Area. As with all crowdfunding platforms, we will have a strong digital marketing strategy to drive traffic to our site. We will also offer incentives for our users who refer friends and family. The key differentiator for RENU Wealth is that we are uniquely positioned to leverage the existing loyal customers of the businesses we finance. Imagine walking into your favorite market and learning that you could earn money by investing in their future. To bring RENU Wealth from concept to reality, we have assembled a team of leaders and advisors with more than 50 years of combined experience in entrepreneurship, business development, data science, sales, and marketing. Our leadership team consists of Gabriel Goldthwaite, Zarin Kresge, and myself, Hannah Wells. Today, we are seeking funding to cover the startup costs of launching our platform and completing a pilot with 2 businesses we have identified as ideal borrowers. We will depend on investors like you to help us redistribute wealth in America. Thank you.